In this video, we're going to take a look at how to solve equations that involve multiplication and division. And if you remember, if you watched one of the previous videos, when we had equations that had addition and subtraction, what you want to do is you want to isolate the variable. Remember, you want to get the variable, that's the letter, the unknown number, get that by itself. And when we were isolating the variable with addition and subtraction, you did the opposite to whatever the number was that you needed to get rid of. We're going to do the same type of thing on these equations. We're going to do the opposite in order to isolate the variable. Now let me tell you what I mean. 6m equals negative 24. All right, well, I've got 6 times m. I want m to be by itself, so I need to get rid of the 6. Now I'm not going to subtract 6 because that's not the opposite. Right now here I have times 6. 6 times m, so it's a times 6. So the opposite of times 6 is divide by 6. We write it kind of like a fraction. And remember, if I divide the left-hand side, I have to do the same thing to the right-hand side of the equation to balance it out. Okay? 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 1 times m is m. So really, I just canceled out. I just got rid of that 6. So now m equals negative 24 divided by 6. And remember, I'm just going to say 24 divided by 6 is 4, and I have one negative sign, so my answer is negative 4. M equals negative 4. So let's take a look at this one. We're going to do the same type of thing. Negative 5 times y equals negative 45. All right? How do I get rid of a times negative 5? Because this is times y. Opposite of times negative 5 is divide by negative 5. And if I did it to the left-hand side of the equation, I need to do the same thing to the right-hand side. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. 1 times y is y, so I just got rid of that negative 5. Negative 45 divided by 5, well, 45 divided by 5 is 9. And since I have two negatives, remember two negatives make a positive, so my answer is 9. Y equals 9. Now, this one kind of here, don't get confused. A lot of students, you'll look at this and you'll say, oh, 10 divided by 5 is 2. But we got to follow the same format. I need to get rid of this negative 10 times x. I need to get rid of the times negative 10. I'm going to do the opposite, which is divide by negative 10. And then I need to do the same thing over on this side. And now, look what we have. This is going to cancel out, because negative 10 divided by negative 10 is 1, and 1 times 1 is x. So I got rid of that. But now look what we have. 5 divided by negative 10. Okay, it's not 10 divided by 5, it's 5 divided by negative 10, which I would do like this. And remember, I just need to add a decimal and a 0. 10 goes into 50, 5 times, which would give me 50. So here it is, 0.5, 0.5, but remember, I have one negative sign here. So I need to put a negative. So it's really, the answer is negative 0.5. And I could put a 0 in here if I wanted to, negative 0.5. Okay? Now let's take a look at the division. Same type of thing. We're going to want to do the opposite. So I've got 1/2 n equals 10. Now when I have a fraction here, we're going to want to, what's the opposite? Well, let's see. The opposite of times 1/2 is divide by 1/2. Now I could write it like this, but that looks kind of strange, a fraction on top of a fraction. So what we're going to want to do is, remember, dividing is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So instead of dividing by 1/2, I could multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. And if I do that to one side, I'm going to need to multiply the other side by the same thing. And 2 over 1 is the same as 2. So this is going to multiply. This is going to cancel out. That will equal 1, so I'm left with n equals 10 times 2 is 20. So n equals 20. Okay? So let's look at the same thing here. I need to get rid of this times 1/4. The opposite of times 1/4 is divide by 1/4. But I'm not going to put divide by 1/4, because remember, that just looks weird. Instead of dividing it, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply by 4/1, and then I have to do the same thing over on this side. I'm just going to write the 4/1 as 4. This will cancel out, which leaves me with y equals 12 times 4 is 48. And if I had a negative, if this was, for example, negative 12, what would this answer be? That'd be a negative 48, because one negative means the answer is negative. Two negatives mean the answer would be positive. So one more here. 1/3 p equals 6. I need to get rid of the 1/3. We're going to divide by 1/3, or in other words, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Do the same thing to the other side, only we're just going to write it 3 since we want to have a whole number. This will cancel out, which leaves me with p equals 6 times 3, 18.